Welcome to Adaptable Movement. These workouts are designed to meet you where you are with options so that you can move in a way that feels supportive to you today. Today's workout is gentle and adaptable. Nothing should feel sharp or painful. I'll show you a few options, including one with weights, so just choose which one works for you. Okay, let's get started with our warm-up. Our first movement involves a little bit of a balance. So if you need to grab a wall for balance doing this, go stand near a wall and use that for support, or maybe a stable chair. So we're just going to move our hip out and then in, and we're going to do that 5 times on each leg. If you don't get to 5, that's totally cool. I'm counting. I'll let you know when we get to the end. My hip clunks a little bit, so if your hip makes little clunks and shifts but they don't feel painful, that's usually okay. If anything feels painful, just go through a smaller range of motion. We're going to go to the other side now, and again, hip out and in. And maybe on one side, you need a balance support and not on the other. So do whatever you need to stay safe while you're making this movement. Last one. Awesome. Our next one is turtle herders. So we're going to send one leg out, straight leg, and we're going to pretend that we're herding along little turtles, and then we'll switch to the other side. For a little bit of an easier option, just herd swans, something a little bit taller. Herd a giant tortoise. Or you can herd the smallest tortoise if that is the kind of flexibility that you have in the back of your leg right now. We're just going to do 2 more on each side, however deep feels right for you. Last one. For the next 2 movements in our warm-up, we're going to be on the floor. Take your time getting there. We're moving our shoulder joints through as much of their range of motion as they want to offer us today. So what this will look like is this. I'll walk you through it step by step. If you feel any restriction, pinchy, just don't push into any kind of pain. So limit your range of motion according to what's right, or you can just skip any of the parts of it that feel like they aren't right for your shoulders. Okay, so here's the process all together. Let's go through it together. Our hands come together up over our chest. Send your fingertips up toward the ceiling, bringing your elbows toward each other or together. Dive your fingertips overhead. Peel your elbows apart. Elbows toward your hips, making a W with your arms, and then hands toward your hips. And if you want to, you can take a nice breath in and out here. And we'll do that again. Hands together, fingertips toward the ceiling, elbows together. Dive your fingertips overhead. Peel your elbows apart. Elbows toward your hips, hands toward your hips. Breath here if you want. Now we're going to reverse direction. So we're going to bring our fingertips up toward our ears, making that W shape. Fingertips together overhead. Elbows together over our face. Elbows toward our hips. And then fingertips toward the ceiling. Back to that open position, palms up. Take a breath here if you want. And again, fingertips up toward ears, together overhead. Elbows come together over the face. Elbows toward your hips. Fingertips toward the ceiling. Awesome. Our next one we've got 2 options for, and it just depends on kind of how heavy your legs feel today. Your easier option is putting your feet on the ground like this, and then we're going to pick up our legs one at a time, trying to feel the front of our core pulling our leg up. So we're trying not to push and roll to get our legs to move, but rather pull from the front of the core and then control the leg as it sets back down. Pull from the front of the core and set it back down. The other option is to have our legs up at tabletop and then dip our feet down one at a time. So this will be a lot more concentrated work in the front of your core. We're trying to find a nice neutral spine with our backs in either option. So we're trying not to let our leg peel our back off of the ground. We're trying to keep our hips a little bit more level in line with the rest of our torso. We're going to do 5 on each side. Go ahead and pick whichever option you want to choose between those two or a combination of the two. If breathing cues work for you, you can think about exhaling as you pick your leg up, inhaling as you put your leg down. Exhale as you pick it up, inhale as you put it down. And even it out, ending with the same number on each side. Our first set of our main part of the workout, we're going to be on the ground, so you can just stay on your back while I explain. We are going to do 2 sets of each of these rounds of exercises, so 2 sets of the work done on the ground. Our first one is going to be a glute bridge variation. So our base option here is going to be bridging up on both legs, shifting our way over to one side, lightening or fully picking up that opposite leg, and then lowering down, coming back to center, and repeat. And we'll do about 5 to 8 per side of those single leg variations and a few more of the double leg variation I'll show you later. If you want a harder option, you can loosely grab one leg and bridge up on a single leg. You can also just pick your leg up if that's more comfortable for you. For an easier option, you can do this fully double leg, lifting your hips up. For all of these options, you can experiment with how far out your foot is so that you feel the work in your butt more than your hamstrings. So we want mostly butt and definitely nice neutral spine, so a little bit of core activation. And each time you lower your hips down is a chance to check in, am I tilting my back too much? Just even yourself out. Find your butt, push up from there. Okay, let's get started on our first set. Again, 5 to 8 per side, starting with that first side. And one more, finish up the one that you're on. And we'll switch over to the other side. If you're doing that double leg bridge, you can just take a break between the 2 sides. And one more. Nice work. Our next set of exercises is a hip opener. This is a lower core exercise where we are going to start in this tabletop position, open one leg to the side, bring it back together. We're trying to focus on that control of your legs. So think about keeping both of your hips rooted down into the ground. You're not tipping to each side, you're moving your leg inside the hip to open and close. There are again 3 options for this one. The first one is that tabletop one that I just showed you. The second option, if you want something a little bit harder, is to open, extend, come back together, and then close. And then the third option will be to support your feet on the wall, which you'll see in the easier version up in the upper right-hand side of the screen. For all of these, you can pair this with breathing if you would like to. For the base and the easier option, it's inhale to open, exhale to close. And for that bigger, longer combo movement, it's inhale to open, exhale, extend, inhale, back, exhale, close. We're going to do about 5 to 8 on each side. Maybe if for that harder version, you won't do as many, and that's totally fine. Let's get going. And last one on this side. Take a little break between sides. You can waggle your legs around if that feels nice. And then we'll get set up for the next side. Last one. Nice work. Our last one in this series is going to be in a sideline position, and you have 2 choices here. The first one is a sideline leg raise with your top leg tipped down. For both of these options, we're going to think about stacking our shoulders and hips over each other, and the work we're trying to feel in the outer side butt region. So for that leg raise, your bottom leg is bent, top leg, you're going to tip your toe down. Think of it as moving your leg in your hip to tip your toe down, and then you're raising your leg up only as far as your leg moves inside the hip socket to lift up. So we're not pulling with our side and changing the shape of our torso at all, just raising from here. And again, tip forward if you feel a little bit too much in the front of your hip and you don't feel that side butt action. So that's option number 1. The other option, if your leg feels too heavy for that, will be a clamshell like this. So both of my legs are bent and my feet are staying together, and I'm using that side butt to pick my leg up as far as feels comfortable and then bring it back down. Okay, once again, same scheme, 5 to 8 per side. If you don't, okay, once again, same scheme, 5 to 8 per side. Going. Last one. Ooh, feel that burn. We'll pivot around to the other side. And same thing again, 5 to 8. Awesome. We're going to start our second set now for these ground exercises. You can pick the same option or change it if you want. If you need a break, go ahead and pause the video and restart it when you're ready. I'll be here. Okay, so heading to the glute bridge variations. Remember, for all of these, you can reposition your feet so that you feel the work in your butt rather than in your hamstrings or your back. 5 to 8 per side, or a few more in a row for that double leg glute bridge. Here we go. And last one. A little break if you're on that double leg glute bridge, starting the second side. Awesome job. Next up, that hip opener. Remember that we are trying to control our legs with that lower core and setting up in a position where we don't feel strain in our back. 5 to 8 per side. Let's begin. Last one. Nice. A little break between sides. And second side. Let's go. Last one. And now for our last exercise here, that side lying leg raise or clamshell, setting up in that side lying position. Remember that we're trying to feel the work in our outer butt. So we're tipping our top hip forward as much as you need to feel that butt cheek working. 5 to 8 per side. And one more. Awesome. Heading over to the other side. Stack your shoulders and your hips. Let's begin. And one more. Our second circuit here will be standing. We're going to do a squat and then 2 upper body movements. For our squat, your options include going into a partial squat for that easier option, going through your full range of motion, or grabbing a weight. For the squat, you want to set up with your feet about shoulder width apart, and you can have your toes turned out just a little bit. When we're going down to the bottom of the squat, we want to think about our knees tracking in line with our toes and sending our knees forward as we sit down. Chest and shins are about in the same angle as each other as we descend and come back up. So you want to feel the work for squats in the front and back of your legs and a little bit in the core. You shouldn't feel it in your back, and we're trying to keep our spine nice and long and neutral in all of these variations. So if your knees have historically been a bit creaky, maybe go for that partial depth of squat, limiting your range of motion to what feels nice for you. For the weighted option, grab whatever weight you have and hold it at your chest, however is comfortable for you, which will look different depending on what kind of weight you have, but just find something that works for you. Okay, for this one, we're going to do 8 to 10 in a row. Let's begin. Last one. Our next exercise is a lunge row or variation. We have a couple options. If you're doing this unweighted, you'll step into a lunge, however wide feels stable for you, and send your torso down toward the ground, again with a nice long neutral spine. And we're going to take one hand, drive our elbow nice and close to our torso, straight up toward the ceiling, and we'll hold for 2 seconds. Lower down. Drive the elbow up and hold for 2, and then lower down. That hold is a little bit of an optional thing. If you want to add a weight, it can make the exercise a little bit harder than usual if you add a pause. So same thing if you've got a weight. Setting up in that long spine, torso toward the ground, driving the elbow up to the sky. For our easier option on this one, you'll go find something for support, a stable chair or a wall, and you can set up in a partial lunge where your torso is not all the way down toward the ground, and you're just driving your elbow back perpendicular to your torso. So it's not at the ceiling necessarily. We're just trying to keep it in that 90 degrees different from your torso. And same thing, drive the elbow back, pause for 2. The wall is really good if you have back issues or stability challenges, to just be able to grade how far into it you get. All right, let's begin our first round of the row. Set up into your lunge position for the first side. And we're doing 5 to 8 per side. If you're not doing a pause, you're probably close to done by now. We'll do one more. Nice. Heading over to the other side, so setting up in your lunge again, send your hips back, nice long spine, and begin. Again, if you're on that one without a pause, you might be done. One more otherwise. Great work. Our next one is an IYT raise. On this one, keep the range of motion where your shoulders don't feel pinchy. And it might be that certain parts of this you can get higher than other parts of it. So just listen to whatever your shoulders have to offer. For all of these, we're thinking about keeping our ribs knitted down, nice strong foundation, so that when our arms raise up, we're not just bending our back or leaning back to do it. We're actually moving our arms in our shoulder sockets. If you want to make this a little bit harder, you can grab some weights. I have some cans of pumpkin. If you want to make it a little bit easier, again, just limit that range of motion to what feels comfortable. On this one, we're going to do 5 of each direction. Let's get started. Last one, so finish whichever cycle of 3 you're on. Great work. We're going back into our second set. Remember, you can pause the video. It'll still be here for you. Again, for that first exercise, we're going into our squat variation. So setting up with your feet shoulder width apart, find that perfect position where you feel like there's enough space for your hips to go down, where you can keep your feet rooted on the ground. And we're doing 8 to 10 in a row, trying to feel the work in the front and back of your legs more than in your lower back. One more. Our next one is our lunge row, setting up in that position where our torso is pointed toward the ground or using the wall to support nice long spine and our elbow is driving back. We're trying to feel this more between the shoulder blade and our spine than anywhere else, maybe a little bit of the back of the arm. All right, let's get set up for that first side. You might be done if you're doing these without a pause. Last one. Nice. Let's set up to our second side. Nice stable position, long spine, and begin. Might already be done if you did these without the pause. Otherwise, we got one more. Beautiful. Last exercise in this round is that IYT raise. Remember, we only want to move through a range of motion that feels like work, but not pinchy in the shoulders. Again, it's 5 for all 3 of those directions. Let's begin. Last one. Beautiful. Lovely work, y'all. For our cool down today, we're going to be on the floor. I'm going to give you options for being face toward the ground and face up. So choose whichever one feels most comfortable to you. You can definitely do a combo of the two of them. If your knees tend to be sensitive, I would opt for the ones where you're face up rather than face down. If you're face down, we're going to start with a child's pose where you spread your knees as wide as feels comfortable, and we're just reaching our arms forward and letting our chest sink down over time. If it feels uncomfortable to have that pressure on your belly right now, you can lift up a little bit more on your heels so that you just have a little bit more space. The first part is the cool down on the back. We're going to hug our knees in toward our chest. The angle that you do this at is totally up to you, whatever's comfortable and feels like it gives you a nice stretch into your hips to start. All right, let's get going for a couple of breaths in this first position for our cool down. All right, our next movement in our cool down is going to be a mid-back stretch. If you're in that face down position, we're going to go to a quadruped position, and then we're going to thread the needle. So we're sending our arm through to get a little bit of a spine rotation, something that feels comfortable, like a 3 out of 10 stretch, and we'll take some breaths there. If you want to, you can reach really far, get your head down, but this is all about what feels good and relaxing in this cool down stage. Our next cool down stretch for our back is going to be a supine twist. You can put your arms however feels comfortable, and we're going to drop our knees to one side. You can also pick up one leg and send it over to get a deeper stretch through the middle of your back. Okay, for this part, we're going to do a couple of breaths on each side. So let's get set up for that first side and take some breaths there. Let's head over to the other side. Okay, our final cool down stretch is going to be a hip stretch. For the face down option, we're going to do a pigeon. You can do any kind of movement that feels right to you to get here, but we're trying to put one leg bent underneath our torso, and you can start really high on this, and you can get a little bit lower if that feels nice on your hips and on your stomach. Our final move in our cool down on our back is going to be a figure 4 stretch where you cross one ankle over your knee, and you can also deepen this stretch by sending your arms through and pulling that leg where your leg is going straight out from your hip a little towards your chest to get a little bit more of a stretch here. If you're feeling that stretch with your foot on the ground, that's totally chill. Okay, let's begin our first side for our hip stretch. Take a couple of breaths there. Let's head to the other side. Nice job. If this felt supportive, subscribe and follow along as I post more joint aware workouts on this channel. Comment if you have any requests for future videos. Thank you so much for moving with me today. And remember, every option is valid, just like you.